Welcome back to Popcorn for Dinner, everybody. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
This week we are talking about a classic bona fide grade A hunk of 90s action movie cheese. This is pretty tippy top.
All right.
Like action movies in general tend to have a lot of cheese to them. Some of them just balance it better than others.
Yeah.
And make a more enjoyable movie. This one is just off the wall with it. This movie is easily one of the weirder 90s action movies.
I haven't seen a lot of 90s action movies. That really wasn't my thing growing up.
Yeah, this is a heck of a way to sort of jump into it. Is to start with the 1993 Sylvester Stallone classic, Demolition Man. Were you prepared for this movie?
I was not. A lot of things caught me off guard. I couldn't have been on guard for this movie because I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, like I've seen Die Hard, I've seen Con Air.
Yeah.
There's maybe a couple others. This is the first Stallone movie that I've seen. So,
which is like a little bit of a shame because it's like, Rocky and First Blood are him like actually acting, even if it does have a little bit of that actioniness to it.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger role. And then in this case, this movie has so many one-liners
right
from Stallone that are like it just exemplifies the level of cheese in this movie. Some of the ridiculous shit that gets said before, during, and after like he murders someone.
Yes.
Which is just which is great.
He murder death kills them.
Yeah, right. Oh my god, we're gonna be talking a lot about this future society that this movie takes place in. 'Cause Demolition Man, like the reason it's so ridiculous, like you listed Die Hard and Con Air as movies that you had seen. Die Hard I would put on the furthest end of the action movie spectrum in terms of cheesiness. Like it really doesn't. It's got a few one-liners to it, and he's kind of snarky, but it's kind of more level-headed.
The TV dinner line.
Yeah, exactly. But like it's a little more grounded. Something like this is absolute insanity all the way towards the other end of it. Sort of more like Con Air, but even beyond Con Air, which is hard to imagine that there's a beyond Con Air, which would have been a great title for a sequel.
Yeah.
But this one fucking gets you there because the fact that it takes place in a not too distant future at first, based on the movie itself, because the movie was made in 93 and it starts in 96. But the fact that that's already like a super heightened reality where it's like, oh, LA's a fucking wasteland.
Yeah.
Full on wasteland. From 93 to 96, LA has turned into a complete, it looks like Mordor, essentially. Like it's just, it's destroyed. And all I could think of was that Futurama episode where Fry thinks he goes to the future, but they're just in LA and it's nasty and post-apocalyptic. I couldn't help but think of that. I was like, yeah, it's basically the same joke, even though and then it wasn't really a joke.
Yeah.
But then people get frozen and it takes you to 2036, did it say?
2032?
2032? Okay. And it shoots you off into the future for the rest of the movie in an even more ridiculous future than they imagined for 1996. Especially given the time, like it might be watching it right now where you're like, we're technically closer to 2032 than we are to when this movie came out. So seeing their future and being like, yeah, okay. But also just like, think about it just logically for a moment and you're like, yeah, how could they act like 40 years ago is like 100 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't understand that at all. It's like, so many of you people would have been alive when that was going on. Why do you treat it like it's literal ancient history?
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Ridiculous to the fact, I guess, because everything started becoming illegal. That people just started forgetting about it.
What I was gathering was that the world was just getting shittier and shittier. And then they mentioned that there was the big one, like an earthquake that I guess destroyed Los Angeles or something, completely. And then this guy, Dr. Cocteau, rebuilt society into this new society. And this is all his idea.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what it seemed like it came from. No clue how he has the infrastructure to do that.
Yeah.
None of that is explained how the world becomes like Super Jetsons futury if it like had to be restarted in like 2010.
Yeah.
Seems wild. Super stupid. But that's the world that the movie takes place in. But what's infinitely more fun are the people that you're following into this world. Because that whole opening sequence, you get John Spartan, Sylvester Stallone, which, I mean, come on. John Spartan. What a fucking name. So in John Spartan, he's been hunting Simon Phoenix. Again, amazing bad guy name.
Seriously.
Perfect.
Because how many times throughout the movie does he say Simon Says?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. It started getting old.
They
I was
milked
like,
it.
oh, stop now.
They did, and they made one like Phoenix joke, which almost seemed like the guy didn't realize he was making it. He's like, and Mr. Phoenix has risen from the ashes, and he didn't like hang on it or like wink with it or anything. It just didn't seem like he noticed that he made the reference. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what a bad guy name, brilliant bad guy name, played by Wesley Snipes, who I'm sure is barely acting. In terms of insanity, like it really felt like they were just literally do whatever you want. Any scene that comes up, all that needs to happen is that you need to kill people and say shit. Literally nothing else has to happen.
Yeah.
He has no plan. He has no overarching thing that he's doing. He doesn't even know why he's doing some of the things he's doing.
Yeah.
You find out later that like he's been brainwashed anyway. So it's like literally, it's like, Wesley, just go out there, say whatever the fuck you want, and beat up on some stunt guys.
Yeah.
And fire some blanks and whatever, and we'll just film it. And that's what it feels like it is, and it's perfect. He is so ridiculous in ways that, like, I don't even think the movie understands. So John Spartan is the greatest cop who ever lived, and Simon Phoenix is the like most insane and ruthless criminal who's ever lived. And so they've been like battling each other. It seems by the beginning of the movie, it seems like it's like, oh, I'm going to finally get him this time, like all this time. And they meet up. Do they scuffle a little bit? They fight? I forget. Or do they just save that for the end? No, it's like a standoff.
It's
and he's wondering where.
Because he's got at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Wesley.
Simon Phoenix.
There we go. Is standing there with the like blowtorch.
Right. And he's got the gasoline everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's going to drop it. And then he lights the cigarette instead and flicks that into the gas, which, again, 90s action movie cheese. It's like all of us growing up know that doesn't work.
Yeah.
From watching Mythbusters.
Yeah.
So all those old movies that all reuse it, it's just fucking, your eyes roll. It has to, no matter how cool the director thought it would be, even if he knew that it wasn't right. And he's just like, I just want it to look cool. It's like, Mythbusters wrecked it. It's wrecked forever. Every single time that happens in a movie now, it's like, and in the process, so they catch him essentially, like there's a huge explosion and John Spartan gets Simon Phoenix out of the building that they're in, and they catch him and they're going to freeze him. Seems like a ridiculous concept in general because you're like preserving them perfectly.
Yeah.
And so it's
then you're brainwashing them so that they become what you want them to be.
True. I mean, I guess. Okay, if that's the plan from the beginning. I didn't really think of it that way.
Well, yeah, because they didn't, when they have had to, they had the like things put on them.
Yeah, they had, right. Okay. But either way, so they catch him, they're going to put him on ice. But also at the same time, John Spartan blew up that whole building and he didn't know that there were hostages in there.
Yeah.
And so him killing 30 hostages gets him whatever in prison, however long, 70 years in prison.
Yeah.
So he also goes under and gets cryogenically frozen. Cut to 30, how long is it? 36, 38, something, a lot of years later. It's almost 40 years later. And society has turned into this like fake utopia where like everything is supposedly perfect and there's no need for like guns or weaponry. There's peace, there's harmony. And what it really felt to me while I was watching it, I was like, this is like an alt-right wet dream scenario of like, look at this pussy ass snowflake society with no guns or anything like that, and they need to get saved by the manliest man of them all, Sylvester Stallone, and he has to save them from a bad guy with a gun. And it's just like, oh my god. So there's this whole plan that you don't know about ahead of time, so it does make it somewhat confusing, because it's like they start off and they unfreeze the lunatic Simon Phoenix for a parole hearing, which he easily escapes from and murders everybody.
Like immediately.
It's the first thing he does. Is that the scene where he's talking in Spanish? Where the guy is saying something to him and he's just repeating it all in Spanish, and he's just like, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Apparently that was just something that Wesley Snipes did. And they were like, yeah, okay. I guess you could do it that way. I guess, like the fact that he was basically allowed to just be as weird and crazy as he ever wanted to be.
That is ridiculous.
And it makes sense for the character. It's wonderful.
But yeah, he responds in Spanish and then is told something, and asked for last words or whatever, and that's when he says the voice code for the handcuffs.
Oh yeah,
which why would that be a thing
ever?
Yeah, like no. Padlock, please.
Yeah, literally, it's this future that they create in this movie is, for one, ridiculous in 1,000 different ways, and also like so clearly unsustainable.
Yeah,
like. Just the idea that they all act as though nobody will ever be bad again. They're unprepared for any act of aggression at all.
Yeah.
Like completely.
They don't touch at all.
Yeah, there's no physical contact. Those that dumbass future high five where they rub their hands in the air near each other and don't actually touch. I was like, God damn it. This fucking society is so clearly doomed. But that's what makes the fun of it, is the fact that Simon Phoenix shows up in this world. He is everything they're not supposed to do. And he sets off alarms everywhere he goes. And he's just murdering everybody.
So to fight him and take him down.
I mean, it's basically like the tagline to the movie. You take a maniac to catch a maniac.
Yeah.
So the only way to catch a Simon Phoenix is to unfreeze a John Spartan.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I guess you could look at it as an ironic twist that Simon Phoenix's eventual downfall is the fact that he succeeds at framing John Spartan for that crime. Because if Phoenix went under ice and Spartan didn't, he'd probably be dead or too old to stop him.
Yeah.
But since he got him frozen, he's able to come back and fight him man to man.
I didn't even think about that.
So now you've got these two fucking ridiculous characters. Like Stallone is such they call him a caveman all the time, and he Neanderthal and all that, because he's like, I want some meat or a beer or a cigarette or literally any old American thing.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we don't do that anymore in the future. It's bad for you. That's why it felt really right-leaning politics to that of the whole fucking nanny state. The government takes over and tells you what you can and cannot do and shouldn't do and what's bad for you.
They put a chip in everybody.
Yeah, everyone's got a chip. They're being watched, blah, blah, blah. Everyone says everyone else's full name. That was driving me insane by the end of the movie. I was like, at some point, one of these people has to catch on that you can just...
You can say just one.
Yeah, someone needs to learn from John Spartan and just... start saying single names, just a first name or a last name, and nobody ever does. It's like he's babysitting adult babies the whole movie, because they don't understand anything. They're completely useless in every scenario. The fact that he knocks Sandra Bullock out before the final battle, he's just like, you are literally beyond useless.
Yeah. You are dead weight.
Yeah, you are a hindrance if you come with me. So I'm going to knock you out. And that she thanks him afterwards too. Yeah, I understand. I would have gotten us killed. I get it. So just a ridiculous world. And I think my favorite moment for Simon Phoenix is probably he's at that computer, he's typing shit in, he's just out in public, and he's been fucking with people and swearing and getting all sorts of attention, and all the cops show up and they just like they have no idea how to deal with him.
Yeah.
And they're literally the only way they can deal with him is by like relaying back to base, and they're apparently like looking up tactics for how to like, is that what it seems like? They're like, we got to check our database to understand what to do with a person who's being rude on the street. Like, you've never encountered that ever. No one has ever been like, I don't want to go or anything. Like, it's complete peace and harmony.
They were told to be assertive.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And then if he doesn't do what you say, add or else. And then that's what kind of sets him off. He like looks over at them like, did you fucking just say or else? He goes over and he just beats the ever living shit out of everybody.
Yep.
So that's before they unfreeze Spartan, right? They're like, we can handle this. And then he murders them.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't handle this.
Yeah. Do whatever it takes to stop him or
yeah. The Dr. Cocteau tells the police chief to do whatever he can to stop him. So that seems like, okay, spoiler alert for the end of the movie. Dr. Cocteau is behind it all. He set it up. I think they said it was his cryo freezing technology. Like, he was the one in charge of all that shit. So he invented the whole cryo freezing stuff. He's an old guy, so he was around back when Phoenix went under. And when they put him under, he apparently gave him like a shitload of like brainwashing material in his like rehabilitation. Yeah. Whatever. However they're doing it, whatever pseudoscience mumbo jumbo is getting this into their head. He sets it up so that they had to have done it later. They couldn't have been from the very beginning. They had to have put him under ice. And then later he figured out like, oh, you know what? I'm going to need to bring someone out to murder this guy who's starting this underground rebellion against my perfect society. Because there's no way he would have programmed him with the knowledge of that guy's name, of Dennis Leary's character's name.
That's true.
If it was back in 1996. So he eventually put the brainwashing shit into his programming, whatever the fuck, to make Simon Phoenix do his bidding and never kill him. Like, he can aim a gun at him, but he can't pull the trigger because it's in his brain. He can't do it, whatever. Yeah. So he sets him loose to go and kill Dennis Leary. Edgar Friendly, I think his name was. Yes. And he lives underground with the Scraps, who are all these people who reject this perfect fake utopian society, and he essentially is just himself underground. I read that they rewrote the character to be more like Dennis Leary when Dennis Leary got cast. So they're like, yeah, we're just gonna let you rant about stuff. And that's why it sounds like he's about to fucking start into his like asshole song when he's like, I want to fucking smoke cigarettes and smoke cigars and eat steak and do this and do that and all that. It sounded like it was like 2 seconds away from the fucking guitar starting. Yeah. And he's just gonna sing the whole song while fucking Sylvester Stallone stands there. This Dr. Cocteau, the guy in charge who created this whole society, unlocks Simon Phoenix and doesn't think about like the consequences of it in any other sense, because essentially he just wants to kill the like rebellion. Yeah. The idea that did he know that Phoenix was going to be destroying everything on his way out to get to him? Because it seems like all you're doing is like destroying your utopia. Yeah. And you're terrifying your people because they realize now how unequipped they are to fight these kinds of things, instead of just like secretly killing Friendly, finding a way to do away with him quietly. You go away with it in the loudest way possible.
I'm going to assume he just didn't do good enough research into who Simon Phoenix was.
Clearly, because it's his downfall at the end of the movie. And it was one of those things where I was just like, there's no way this guy is this stupid, right? There has to be another little twist to his plan. And then it turned out, no, he is exactly as stupid as it seems. So it's like, this guy's supposed to be brilliant, who created this entire society. And he is undone by the fact that he simply doesn't think that someone else can hold a gun. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. They get out John Spartan, and he obviously is also a complete mismatch for the time and place. First thing he does is like swear a bunch, and he gets fined, and everyone's looking at him like he's like just like the weirdest thing, except for Sandra Bullock, who is
like enamored with him.
It seemed odd to me when they first introduced her. They show her as someone who's like, is there any conflict today? Like, is there anything bad that's happening that we need to stop? And everyone's like, no, just like every other day.
Yeah.
stop it. And they're all mad at her for like, you want to deal with violence and bad things and this and that? Because she is apparently obsessed with the 20th century. Again, in a way that makes it seem like it was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Like everyone seems like she's this lunatic for pining for an age that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Like again, so many of you remember it. Like Bob Gunton, the guy who plays the chief, had to have been at least like 50
Yeah. plus
by the in this movie. It's like you were alive back then. You know about this. Why is this such a? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really should have been like at least 21, 32.
Yeah, exactly. It should have been way in the future. Making it
30, 32. That might be
Something.
a little extreme.
Yeah, but literally just anything other than just like a fucking couple years down the road.
Yeah, right.
It was so silly. But she wants action in her life that isn't there because everything's perfect. And so John Spartan showing up and this Simon Phoenix thing happening is like perfect for her. Except for the fact that she's a coddled idiot baby from the future who can't do anything in any of these scenarios and is constantly like, there's one right towards the end, she shoots a gun and kills a guy. And he's like, hey, nice shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, she has never held a gun in her life before. You are lucky you are not dead, John Spartan.
Seriously.
But yeah, so it's like she's, pining for it, but is clearly ill-equipped. So it's kind of just this weird thing where it's like she gets us into the police like station so that we kind of understand the world that they're in. And she consistently makes faux pas when she's trying to use like phrases from the 20th century, including my favorite one right towards the end where she says, let's go blow this guy.
Yep.
And he's like, away, blow this guy away. She's like, whatever, close enough. Like, just so ridiculous, so silly. And she is fucking adorable in this movie.
She really is.
This is just before Speed. So this is like prime, nobody knows who she is, Sandra Bullock. And you could just tell, like, not that she ever like became super like self-conscious of herself, but like the super silliness that she does in this movie feels like something that she'd only do if it was like, I need to make sure I'm getting another job after this.
Yeah.
Like I gotta show I'm on board. Fucking singing that Armor Hot Dog song in the car and just, oh my God, it was hysterical. And then that weird sex scene between her and him.
Yeah, that was interesting.
What stuck out to me is like, she knows so much about the past and about the 20th century and stuff. How could she not know that he would be expecting something else?
Yeah.
In terms of sex. She's like, we should have sex. Let's go back to my place and have sex. And he's like, holy shit, really? Okay, fine, let's do it. And then she's like, I mean future sex with headsets and we never touch each other. And he's like, oh, that sucks. And then she gets so mad that she wants to kick him out. And I get it, like she doesn't want it. So whatever. I'm not trying to I'm trying to say like, hey, she tricked him. He deserves it. But more so just like, that that's not how it was done back then.
You're
Why are
being
you
unreasonably mad?
like it and also the fact that he's like, I'll try it. And it fucks with him because it's so weird. And she's like, what? Wasn't that great? And he's like, that was so weird. Like it's freaking him out. It's just like that was a bad idea all around. He should have just never brought it up.
Yeah.
So he is the manliest man who ever manned. And he's here to fuck shit up and save the day and stop Wesley Snipes. And I mean, again, I fucking love Wesley Snipes in this movie. I love after that first battle with the cops when he's just like mocking the dude's like attempt to like square up with him and everything, and he just like keeps like hopping out of the way and then just takes him down, and he just goes like stupid and keeps walking. And I was like, I fucking love it, like how nonchalant this dude is about causing all this destruction, basically because he knows he's like, I outmatch everybody.
Yeah,
there's nothing they could do. He could literally do whatever he wants except shoot the doctor in the face because of his brainwashing.
Yes.
I knew that doctor was like an asshole from the start. First thing, he's in that room and he's talking to those people on those monitors.
Yeah. And
he gets up to walk around the table, forcing all the monitors to like turn and angle with him so that people can see him. And then he walks like halfway around the table, stops, walks back to his chair, sits down. She's like, why are you being an asshole about this?
Yeah, seriously, just stay there.
Just sit in your fucking chair. What is the point of that? And I was like, I just really wrote down, I was like, why get up and make all the monitors turn and follow you like an asshole? And then later it was like, oh, it's because he is an asshole. He's the bad guy. That makes sense now.
Oh, and then the doctor's sidekick.
Oh, yes, from Beetlejuice.
Yes, that was.
Yes.
That one of my notes was just, he was in Beetlejuice.
Yeah. He was in a couple of early 90s movies. He was in and around a bunch of them. And another Beetlejuice thing, I don't know if you caught it too. Like, for the most part, the music in this movie is kind of just like whatever. It's not, there's no like real big themes.
Yeah.
It just sort of like works for the scene and whatever. It's not all that memorable, but it's not like terrible. But towards the end, were you getting that feeling that the Beetlejuice theme kept wanting to start? Like, there was one piece of music that they would keep using over and over when people were just like walking and talking together, and it was like, and then I was waiting for Beetlejuice.
I didn't catch that.
I was waiting for it so bad, and I was like, please do it. I would love it so much. And then there's that famous scene with the 3 seashells.
Oh.
With the toilet paper and the 3 seashells. That's something that, like, for some reason, that's like the most memorable thing in the movie for a lot of people. It's all they can think about is the 3 seashells.
Because they never learned how they work.
Right.
Everyone's curious.
I get that part, but it's like, that's not the fucking interesting part to me. The interesting part is that John Spartan comes out of the bathroom and he's like, hey, by the way, you guys are out of toilet paper? There's just these seashells. And they're all laughing at him like, oh, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. And he's like, fucking whatever, and he swears, and the thing beeps, and it shoots out some paper for a fine for him. So he walks over to it, and he just lays off a whole bunch of curse words, like, you duck fucking blah, 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 and he just gets a whole bunch of pieces of paper, and he holds them up, and he goes like, I'll see you in a few minutes. 3 seashells. Yeah, and he walks away, and I'm like, so he's got shit in his pants. He's been walking around with shit in his pants because he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells, and now he just got the paper, and now he's going back to the bathroom. This whole scene, he's been standing there with shit in his pants, and nobody ever brings that up.
I mean, maybe he was just holding it the whole time?
I guess. I guess that's a way to think about it, but that ruins my fun. And then later, when they're trying to tell him what to do, he's like, why don't you just shove a leash up my ass? I was like, does John Spartan not know how leashes work? That's not how you're supposed to use them. Actually, my favorite John Spartan thing is his penchant for screaming things while jumping off of stuff. Like the start of the movie where he leaps out of a helicopter screaming, Phoenix! Just like, what, to let him know you're coming? Or what's the
Don't you want to like try and sneak up on him?
Yeah, really, there's nothing. And then later, when he's crashing that future car, and like the brakes don't work or something, so the steering's not working, whatever, and he's like going out of control, and he's like flying through the air, and he just yells like, "You Mickey Mouse piece of shit!" I could not get over how funny that fucking stuff was. Oh my god, so ridiculous. But he has a lot of great one-liners. You're on TV. When he's smashing Simon Phoenix with an old tube TV.
Yep.
Swinging it around by the cable and hitting him with it. You're on TV.
That would not work in real life. That cable would come ripping out of that TV.
Yeah. Quite possibly my favorite one of the movie is you're going to regret this the rest of your life. Both seconds of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a killer one, man. That's great.
That was a classic right there.
I really liked Simon Phoenix repeating the "What's your boggle?" For one, just that phrase.
Yeah.
The fact that the guy at the museum comes up and asks him that.
Yeah.
What's your boggle? Like, what the fuck kind of future is this? It's so silly.
Yeah.
Like the way that movies and TV shows and all sorts of like speculative future fiction stuff, they always change things that are like, nobody would ever change that. Why would you change that?
Yeah.
Of all things, like the fact that everyone's greeting is "be well." Always. Yeah. That's everyone all the time.
No, like, that's not the greeting. That's the goodbye.
It's goodbye. Yeah, whatever.
The greeting is like warm salutations or mellow salutations.
Yeah, stupid shit like that. It's like they always change things like that, and it's like, why? Why can't people just say like hello or hi? Why would that ever go away?
Because they're all brainwashed. They all have those chips in them. You don't know.
Well, the movie definitely does not cover that. So it really just seems like this is the world now. Everyone is a wiener who can't defend themselves or think for themselves. And
I mean, yeah.
And they are. But yeah, that was just silly. But like, what's your boggle? Like, seriously, like, do you have a question? It's like, oh, no, that's uncivilized. You must ask, what's your boggle? Oh, fucking ridiculous. I did like that the one guy tells Simon Phoenix to be well, and he says, be fucked. I was very, very glad that this was like, that they went with the R, like the hard R in this movie of being like, okay, now it's like people are going to get blown away, lots of guns, tons of swearing, all swearing everywhere, nothing but swearing.
Okay, can we talk about when Phoenix gets the guns?
Yeah, from the museum.
Yeah.
Was it the Hall of Violence? Or
yes, the Hall of Violence.
I love that.
In the armory exhibit.
Yes.
Why were the guns on display loaded?
Yeah, I don't understand why they would be functional, let alone loaded.
Yeah.
It's complete insanity.
Like, I guess I understand, like, in terms of, like, they believe that no one's going to try and take them and use them because of the way society is, but loaded.
It could just fall over and go off.
Yeah, like that's so dangerous.
The fact that there is more ammo than in the weapons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how could you possibly reload? You know what I mean? It's not like they have crates of ammo back there too. Why would you need them? They're relics. And yet they can use the guns all over the place, all sorts of bullets. Like, that's the craziest thing. It's like, where are any of them getting bullets from? Him or the police or John Spartan.
Yeah.
Or any of that stuff. If they used like future weapons like exclusively, like crazy weird future weapons, then I could get it. But it's like, no, it's an action movie in the 90s. People want their guns, so they have to use old school guns, and there's got to be a lot of blanks and a lot of bullets flying, even if it makes absolutely no sense that there would be bullets anywhere near a gun in this world.
Unless there was also like an ammo display in the armory.
You know what I've always wanted to see? 10 huge crates of ammo. That's what we need to see.
I always wondered what that looked like.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like that. Yeah, that's hysterical. And then he just blows his way out of the fucking museum itself with a cannon that is also apparently functional.
And loaded.
Like, and not just loaded with a cannonball, but primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Complete insanity. Obviously, since the whole movie is, you know, cheese central, you just hand wave it away with the idea of like, well, they didn't think anyone would ever even think to touch them, so they're loaded because what does it matter if they're loaded or not loaded? No one's ever going to use them.
Because accidents happen.
Yeah, not like, in Future World, apparently.
Like, no one trips in Future World?
That's
like,
something that I thought about too. The fact that they're like, we've never had like an unsanctioned loss of life or something. They say something really weird about that. Which I get the idea of like, you wouldn't have murders if everyone is technically getting along and there's like peace and harmony. But it's like because people are like throwing up at the mere concept that people are being killed.
Yeah.
And it's like never an accident. There's never like an industrial accident.
Yeah.
Or a car
built.
crash or
foam in the cars.
It's so bizarre how coddled this future society is. Or it's like, and also the fact that they never specify, like, is the whole rest of the world like this?
Or is it
just LA that got hit with the
San
earthquake?
Angeles?
Well, it's San Angeles now, but
yeah, Los
Angeles is what got hit and destroyed, and then they rebuilt on top of it. But it's like this area of California, is this the only place like this?
They never say.
They literally never mention anything outside of not just California, but literally this fake version of Los Angeles. And it's just ridiculous that. But no, yeah, it has to be the whole world because Taco Bell won the franchise wars.
Oh, right.
And so now every restaurant is Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So in 20-something years, 22 years, they went from like complete destruction to modern utopia with only Taco Bell is the only restaurant that's ever existed.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, like, I don't know. Sorry. I noticed in my notes that I wrote down that TVs are in portrait mode in the future. So it really is a terrible future. Like that's That's a nightmare if you have to watch things in portrait mode. Ugh, terrible. So, I mean, the whole plot of the movie, you know, John Spartan trying to track down Simon Phoenix. Like we were saying, the doctor is behind it all. So eventually they have to that all has to overlap.
Right.
And John Spartan figures out that the doctor, he's behind it all. And he set loose Simon Phoenix and everything. And he just sits on it. He finds it out, and then he just goes to work the next day as though they're just regular beat cops.
Yeah.
Like, you were here to find Simon Phoenix. Why are you just hanging around the station like you're waiting to go on assignment? Like, you have an assignment. Go and find him, and now you have a lead.
Yeah, seriously.
This guy, and you just sort of sit on it for a while, and then finally you get around to doing it. Like, why was that not your first move? Why did you do anything else that day? Before you were like, and then I'll go track down the guy who's literally the only reason I'm unfrozen right now. And he goes, they go to the doctor, and he talks his way out of it?
No, they go there, and the doctor is on the TVs.
That's right.
The henchman, whatever his name was.
I think it was like Bob.
Just Bob. He was the only one with one name.
I guess, dude. Apparently he was supposed to be a eunuch.
Oh.
But they didn't mention it in the movie.
Oh.
There's a lot. There's some. There's a few things that I'll mention because this movie was like half an hour longer.
Oh.
And then they had to cut it down. So there's a bunch of shit that didn't make it. That is kind of like okay.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah. So they go to the doctor, but then they like put a gun to his head and they're like, "Hey, fucker, we got you." What? How did he get out of that? Did Simon Phoenix just show up and wreck it?
No, because Simon Phoenix showed up later with his buddies that he got unfrozen or whatever.
That was lunacy of the highest level. The fact that he fucking is just like, "Okay, Mr. Dr. Guy, I'll totally kill Dennis Leary for you. But first I need you to unfreeze like 6 other horrible, violent associates of mine." And the doctor's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
No pushback.
Yeah.
Nothing. He's just like, "Okay, sounds good." This is what I was talking about earlier, where it's like there has to be another twist to this doctor's plan.
Yeah.
Because there's no way he's this stupid to just let loose a bunch of other horrible criminals that he wasn't planning on releasing, so he doesn't have them set up in the whole brainwashing thing. Like, there has to be some other thing. And then fucking it comes down to it, and Simon Phoenix aims a gun at him again, can't pull the trigger. So he literally just throws his gun to Jesse Ventura, who then shoots the doctor and kills him. And then Simon Phoenix is now like the main bad guy again, because he killed the doctor and all that. And it was like, you literally didn't think that Simon Phoenix would think to just hand a gun to one of his associates and be like, "Okay, you shoot him for me, please." Clearly he wants to kill you. It's not even like it's a secret.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He aims his gun at him every chance he gets. He just can't pull the trigger. So it's like, this guy literally, if he wanted you dead, or if he could, he would have you dead right now.
Yeah.
And you have no way to stop him other than your brainwashing, which is like, don't give him a friend.
Who isn't brainwashed to not kill you.
Yeah. Oh my God. And talking about things that got cut out of the movie, like the fact that guy he gives the gun to who shoots him is Jesse Ventura. Like the wrestler, and then eventually the Minnesota governor, right? I forget what he was. Or he was a mayor or something like, I forget. He was some politician. And he was in Predator and all this sort of stuff. But the fact that you get that guy to play one of these henchman dudes, and that's it. You don't see him again. Because all of that got cut out of the movie.
Oh.
There was supposed to be like a John Spartan and Sandra Bullock, I forget, Huxley. They were supposed to like go and battle all these guys to get to Simon Phoenix. And apparently, like after test screenings, people were like, "This ending takes too fucking long. We could just get to the fight at the end of it." So they're like, "Oh, okay." So there's 2 guys that you see them kill, and then it's just like, okay, and now it's just Simon. That's why they all just disappear. Oh, because they cut him out of the movie. But it was so silly because I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, "Oh, Jesse Ventura's in this. I didn't remember that." And then I saw him in that scene, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's like one of the big bruising secondary bad guys. He's probably gonna have like a big fight scene." He just disappears completely.
Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah, poor guy.
But then they toss his body into the fireplace. Like, come on, that's gonna smell up the whole place so bad.
They're bad guys. They don't care.
That's so gross, though.
They don't care. They're so bad.
But it's.
I mean, Simon Phoenix stabbed a dude's eyeball out and used it as a retinal scan trick, which I loved.
That was kind of badass.
I love that kind of stuff. There's always those sorts of things in these action movies where it's like either you take the whole head or just the eye, or you rip their hand off and the palm identification or something. There's always a new way to do it. I always love watching which way they do it. Like whenever you go to the future or something like that, you know you're going to get the like amputation to escape.
Someone's losing a body part.
Yeah, someone's losing something, and that's letting them out.
And there were a couple Rambo references.
Yeah, at least one. I know that there was that he says it to one of the dummies in the Hall of Violence when he's like stealing the stuff from them. Simon Phoenix says something about like, "Hey, Rambo," and then it's like, "Wait a minute, what? Rambo movies exist in this world with Sylvester Stallone as John Spartan?" But was there another one? I didn't quite.
Oh no, maybe it wasn't Rambo, but someone said, "Say hello to my little friend."
Oh, Scarface.
Scarface.
No, yeah. Simon Phoenix definitely said that. That's sort of what I mean by like the fact that it was just like, just say whatever you want. And he was like, how about that?
Yeah.
And they're like, let's go with it. The fact that he is such an insane character who will say anything at any point in time for any reason. We mentioned this before about movies where it's like it's a great thing about having a character who's completely insane. It's because you can literally just have them say whatever you want, whenever you want them to, for any reason at all, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So something interesting that I found out is that in that like ending sequence that got cut from the movie, that was the sequence where Simon Phoenix was supposed to reveal to John Spartan that he framed him, like all those hostages were already dead before you blew up that building, so it wasn't your fault at all, and I framed you, and ha 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 ha. So they cut that whole sequence out of the movie. And they're like, oh, shit. Like, since we lost all of that, we lost him telling John Spartan that he framed him for those deaths, which is like a really important thing. So the audience knows, like, it wasn't actually his fault. He's a good guy. He knows whatever. You remember that line in the movie, though, that he mentions that.
Yeah.
It's while they're in a car chase and he's literally like in the car with him and they're fighting and the doors are open and they're like hanging off above the highway and everything. And the camera like cuts to Stallone only. And you don't see Wesley Snipes at all. So they were like, okay, we're just going to snag that dialogue and have him reveal in this random fight scene that he tricked him and that the hostages were already dead.
Yeah.
And the fact that the character is so fucking insane and will do and say anything whenever he wants, I didn't even notice. I didn't even second guess it for a moment.
I had no idea. That's why I was so confused. I was like, wait, no, they covered that.
Yeah, right?
Like, that was there.
It's so funny. It's got to be an editor's dream. Or literally be like, we cut that one scene, but he has to say this. Like, who gives a shit? Literally put it anywhere else in the movie. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Won't change a thing.
Is he in the scene but not on camera? Just put it in.
Exactly. So funny. And I love the fact it's like, I never would have even thought about it for another moment.
Yeah.
If I didn't read that.
That's crazy.
I think one of my favorite things, I wrote it down right away in the script in that opening sequence between John Spartan and Simon Phoenix, is the line that Phoenix has where he says, "I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached." And I wrote that down specifically because I was like, this is exactly that kind of movie where that is going to be 100% what comes back in the end.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, fucking Spartan freezes him and kicks his fucking head off.
Yep.
And I was like, I fucking knew it. And that's so brilliant and idiotic and wonderful. Like, that's such the like, and it all comes full circle. It's a good script. Like, oh my God, it's so silly. But there were other things that paid off in this movie, or that were supposed to pay off in this movie, that they didn't get around to. Like, for one, they mentioned that his wife died in the earthquake, but they don't mention anything about his daughter, because in the original cut of the movie, he finds his daughter. She's living underground with the scraps. And it was such a part of the movie that she's in the movie.
Oh.
At the very end of the movie. It's like John Spartan is standing there next to fucking Dennis Leary, and they're talking to someone, and there's a girl standing right next to Dennis Leary who's like one of the scraps, and that's his daughter.
Oh.
And it's like you're supposed to know who it is, so it makes sense why she's standing with them. But in the movie, it's just like, and there's this girl here. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh no, yeah, that was his daughter. But
Huh.
the reason they cut it because audiences were a little grossed out because of the whole like cryogenic freezing thing, because she is like basically the same age as Sandra Bullock. And so he was having like a relationship with Sandra Bullock's character, who's the same age as his daughter. And people were just weirded out by it, even though it's like, it's the time thing. Like, I've been frozen.
Yeah.
But people still just thought it was too weird.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Yeah.
all right, fine, never mind. I mean, just in general about John Spartan over the course of the movie, like he's not so much a character as he is just like the manliest man. And he stands out so hard against everyone else because of that. A lot of his like boggles regarding the future society are like totally understandable and completely warranted.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the whole bathroom thing being weird, totally get it. You know,
The car.
not understanding, you know, getting fined for swearing, not understanding that certain foods and things aren't available anymore because they're illegal and all that stuff. Like, I get that whole thing. But when they're about to leave in the car, and he's like, "I'll drive."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then he gets behind the wheel, and then he can't figure it out, so he's like, "Oh, fine, you drive." But I was just like, "I'll drive."
Yeah.
You literally could not wipe your own ass. And you think you're going to fucking understand how to drive a car? You're such an asshole. And then later when he learns that his like rehabilitation has given him the ability to like sew and knit, and he's like, "I'm a seamstress." It's like, fuck yourself.
Yeah.
What, men can't learn that?
Like, that was a bomb ass sweater that you made her.
Seriously, like he's like embarrassed by it. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, what a man. Like, what a ridiculous man caricature of like, "Oh, I can't do a lady thing. It makes me a lady." Like, Jesus Christ, you are literally the most ripped guy in the entire world right now.
Yeah.
And you're still insecure about your man because you fucking knit a sweater. Come on, dude. Also, God damn it, man. That sequence when they're underground with the resistance people, and it's fucking John Spartan standing next to Edgar Friendly, literally the two people that Simon Phoenix is like supposed to be trying to kill. And he has like the high ground looking down on them. They are completely unaware he is there. He has a 100% chance of killing both of them right now. And he misses.
Yep.
I could not fathom that. I don't know why the movie even put them in that scenario.
Everybody misses.
I mean, Jesse Ventura didn't miss when he shot the doctor.
And
oh, and Sandy.
Sandy didn't miss.
Yeah, that one shot she gets, she nails it. Good for her. We haven't really been going through the plot like beat by beat, but you listen to it, you get the gist. There's the guy who's in charge of everything, Dr. Cocteau, who turns out to be a bad guy. He gets killed, but then Simon Phoenix gets killed as well. John Spartan kills him. So the bad guys are all dead. The day is saved. And the people who live underground, who are like resistance against this utopia, like can come out now and rejoin society or whatever. Because John Spartan's like, you know, maybe you guys need to clean up a little and you guys need to get a little dirtier. And somewhere in the middle, we'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, yeah, totally cool. And then that eunuch guy comes out and he walks up to Dennis Leary, Mr. Friendly, and he's just literally like, "I would be a wonderful associate for your new whatever." And I was like, why is it his?
Yeah.
Was there no succession plan in place if Dr. Cocteau died?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
is he the president of the world or the United States or
No, because
this city or what the fuck he is? But
They-
why would it go to the
Yeah.
hobo terrorist?
I don't know why the lead hobo terrorist, who wasn't even a leader, he said
not
he
really.
just did stuff and
Yeah.
people tagged along.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know
It was
why.
so crazy that they're just like, all right, here's the keys to civilization. Like, holy shit.
All right then.
You were really not prepared for anything.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, it was just like, we just figured the world would continue to be perfect until everyone died. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a terrible plan.
Very terrible.
Oh, that was so silly. But it was, I mean, it's just the fucking perfect right amount of silly. Like, it's not overly silly where you can like feel it being like trying to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst. That I cannot stand.
Yeah.
I can't stand when like those Sharknado movies or shit like that, where they clearly are terrible and they know they're terrible and they're leaning into how terrible they are. It's like, no, that's not fun.
Yeah.
This is just so fucking like, it's clearly supposed to be somewhat cartoonish, but at the same time, like, it's supposed to be badass. Yeah. And it's supposed to, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be like, oh, fuck, let's go, John Spartan. Fuck these people up. You're right. We should be eating steak. All right. Like, that kind of ridiculous shit when you give such a weird world that they live in where being a modern American man is like a revolutionary thing to them. Like, I would like a beer and a burger, and the whole city's like, what? Yeah. Like, it's silly, but so damn much fun. I do believe that Wesley Snipes as Simon Phoenix is like is easily a rival for like number 2 on the action movie bad guy list. Like, I will always place Hans Gruber number 1. He is just the fucking greatest, and Alan Rickman is the best. Simon Phoenix, strong case for number 2. Strong case, because holy shit,
yeah,
it does make me excited to eventually introduce you to some more of these kinds of movies, because they are something to behold. There really is something to be said for this era of cheesy action movies. Like, I prefer it so much to current cheesy action movies. Current cheesy action movies still take themselves too seriously than this. You know what I mean? Like, those Fast and the Furious movies are like, apparently they just get more ridiculous and more ridiculous with the like car stunts they do. But god damn it, they take themselves fucking seriously with our family and this and that and, you know, heartwarming things and whatever. It's like, no, you're fucking cheesy action. Why the fuck are you trying to pull heartstrings? It's stupid. Like, there was no attempt at that in this movie.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. Because it was like, it's unneeded. Even the little bit of a like relationship between Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone is kind of still just boils down to like, there's a lot of action to get to. We'll have a couple of scenes, but this is really about the action.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it fucking is. Oh my God. Did you have a good time watching? Were you like, I guess I'm glad I watched that?
I did, yeah. I enjoyed it. It's not necessarily a movie I would seek out watching, but if I was just, you know, scrolling through channels and Demolition Man was on,
be like, ooh, is it a Dennis Leary scene?
Yeah.
Tune in.
No, it was fun. I guess I have to expand what I thought was my taste in movies, because I did also, you know, find Con Air enjoyable and Die Hard enjoyable. So
I'm telling you, man, I for like the first time since we never really go into what a future show might be on a current show, but one of these days we're gonna do Broken Arrow with Christian Slater and John Travolta and Howie Long.
Oh God.
And actually Bob Gunton, the guy who plays the chief in this. He's in it too.
Interesting. All right.
But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for Popcorn for Dinner this week. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
Be well.